You're in an argument, you should be winning. You have the facts, you're right. You push harder, and somehow every word makes you lose ground. The other person is calmer. They haven't moved, you're sweating. You walk away with the strange feeling that you were the one who lost, even though you said all the right things. This happens to you constantly, in meetings, with your partner, with your own mind, when you sit down to focus and your attention slips through your fingers like water. You think the answer is to try harder. It isn't. You're using the wrong kind of energy entirely. In 1995, a psychiatrist named David Hawkins published a book that mapped this exact problem. He called it Power versus Force. His thesis was simple. There are two operating systems available to a human being. One of them, the one almost everyone uses, drains you the harder you push it. The other one costs nothing and almost always wins. Most people never switch. They die never knowing the second one existed. In this video, 4 things. You'll see the hidden line that splits human consciousness into 2 halves. You'll learn why everything below that line costs you energy, and everything above it gives energy back. You'll meet the 17 levels you cycle through every day, compressed into 4 zones you can actually navigate. And you'll get a diagnostic you can run in any moment, plus a protocol for crossing from one side to the other. Most people live their entire life below the line and call it reality. Today we find out which side you're on. Ready? Let's do it.
This is an artificially aware original production.
Go back to the argument. You were pushing. You used force, and force, in this specific sense, is any kind of energy that has to be applied against resistance. It costs you to use it. Push harder, get pushed back harder. That's not a metaphor. That's the actual operating principle of force in any system. Physical, social, psychological. Force is energy that meets opposition the moment it appears. The other person in that argument, they weren't using force at all. They were using something else. Hawkins called it power. Power is energy that doesn't push against anything, because nothing opposes it. Think of gravity. Think of magnetism. Think of someone walking into a room with such calm presence that the room reorganizes around them without anyone noticing. Force is what you use when you don't have power. Power is what you use when you don't need force. Every emotional state you have is one or the other. There's no neutral. Every feeling you experience either feeds you energy or drains it. And the difference between the two is not philosophical. It's not poetic. It's measurable, observable, and here's the part that matters, completely visible to anyone watching you, except you. The reason this matters is that you have been operating for most of your life on a default setting you've never seen. That setting is usually below the line. Below the line, you can work 12 hours a day for 40 years and never get traction. The line is the one piece of geography you need to know. So let's draw the map. Imagine a vertical scale. At the bottom, 0. At the top, 1,000. Each step on the scale isn't linear, it's logarithmic, which means the difference between level 50 and level 100 isn't double, it's astronomical. A small move up the scale is, in real terms, an enormous shift in the kind of energy running through you. Hawkins arranged 17 distinct levels of consciousness on this scale. Each level corresponds to a dominant emotional state. Each one produces a completely different version of your behavior, your perception, and your results. Same body, same brain, different operating system. The scale is split by one critical threshold, 200, the level called courage. Below 200, you are running on force. Above 200, you are running on power. There is no gradient between them. You're either on one side or the other in any given moment. And here's the part Hawkins discovered that almost no one teaches. Roughly 85% of human beings spend most of their lives operating below the line. 85 out of every 100 people you meet today, including the version of you that walked into the argument, were running on force, pushing, trying, failing, then trying harder. The good news is that the line is crossable. The map shows you exactly how. The bad news is that you cannot cross it by doing more of what you were already doing. Force does not turn into power by being applied harder. Force just exhausts itself. So let me walk you through the 4 zones of the map, where the failure modes hide, where the threshold sits, where the constructive territory begins, and where, if you're lucky and patient, the air gets very thin and very clear. This is your map. Treat it as a lens for self-observation, not a scoreboard. Locate yourself honestly, then climb. The pit is everything below 200. 8 levels. Each one is a different way of being trapped, but they share one thing. Every state in the pit is a state that costs you to maintain. You don't relax into shame. You don't rest in fear. The pit is exhausting. The pit is also home for most of humanity, most of the time. Start at the bottom. 20. Shame. The lowest level a human being can occupy and still be alive. At 20, you are not really living, you're hiding. People at this level avoid eye contact, avoid being seen, avoid taking up space. The body wants to disappear. Some compensate by becoming rigid moralists, pointing the finger outward at everyone else's behavior to keep their own out of view. The bully built out of self-hatred, the serial killer who polices other people's morality. Shame is the engine running underneath when nothing else makes sense. You think you've never been here. You probably have. For a few hours after you said the wrong thing in front of someone whose opinion mattered. The next morning, when you couldn't look at yourself in the mirror, you crawled out of it. Most people do. Some don't. Guilt. One step up, but barely. Guilt is what shame becomes when it can name itself. Now you know what you did wrong. You replay it. You apologize for things that don't need apologizing for. Whole industries are built on running guilt at scale, political, religious, commercial. If someone wants to control you cheaply, they install a small piece of guilt in you and let it work for free. 50. Apathy. The level where the lights go out. People at apathy don't fight, don't push, don't even mourn, they just stop. The unemployed person who stops applying, the patient who stops asking questions, the relationship where both people gave up but neither one left. Apathy looks like rest. It isn't. It's the body conserving the last of its energy because there's nothing left to spend. Grief. Up from apathy. Because at least at grief you are crying, and that means the system is moving again. People at grief see sadness everywhere. The sadness of children, the sadness of the world, the sadness of being alive at all. Grief is not the problem. Grief is the body finally processing what apathy refused to feel. The problem is when grief becomes the address you live at, not a place you pass through. 100. Fear, and now we are getting somewhere. Because fear has energy. Fear is what runs most of the world. Fear of losing the job, fear of being alone, fear of what the doctor will find, fear of saying the wrong thing on the internet. The advertising industry is built on fear. The political system is built on fear. The news is built on fear. Fear is the most efficient governance system ever invented because it pays for itself. Look at your own day. How many of your decisions were made because you wanted something, and how many were made because you were trying to avoid something bad? If the second number is bigger, you spent the day in fear. Most people do. They just don't call it that. They call it being responsible, being prepared, being realistic. Fear in disguise is most of what passes for adulthood. (125) Desire. The first level where you actually want something. This is the engine of the modern economy. Desire is what gets you out of bed when fear isn't enough. Desire is also what addiction is made of. The wanting that never stops, because every time you get the thing, the wanting just relocates. Desire is a much higher state than apathy. It's also a trap. The person who spends 50 years chasing the next promotion, the next house, the next partner, lives the entire time inside this level and dies inside it. (150) Anger. Anger is desire that's been blocked. You wanted the thing and someone got in the way. Now you're going to make them pay. Anger has more energy than fear or desire, which is why it can sometimes catapult people out of the pit entirely. Civil rights movements, revolutions, the moment a person finally says no after years of saying yes. Anger has fuel. The problem is that anger almost always burns the user as much as the target. Live in anger long enough, and you become the kind of person who collects injustices the way some people collect stamps. (175) Pride, the top of the pit, the level the entire culture aspires to. Pride feels great, because compared to fear or shame, pride feels like power. The Marine in dress uniform, the honor student, the newly promoted manager, the pride of the achievement is real. But here's the trap. Pride is the only level in the pit that disguises itself as strength. Everywhere else in the pit, you can feel the suffering. In pride, you can't, so you defend it. You build your identity around it. And the moment something punctures that identity, a failed marriage, a fired job, a public humiliation, pride collapses. Where does it collapse to? Straight back to shame. The fall is not a few inches, it's a free fall. This is why pride is more dangerous than the lower levels. Shame, fear, anger, those announce themselves. Pride hides. The proudest person in the room is also the most fragile, and they don't know it. Now look at the pit as a whole. 8 levels. 8 ways of being trapped. Notice that nothing in the pit is rest. Every level here is the body in some kind of fight. Even apathy is a fight against feeling anything at all. Every level here is force. You're pushing against shame, pushing through fear, pushing toward desire, pushing back at the people who wronged you, pushing your accomplishments into other people's faces. Push, push, push. This is what 85% of humanity is doing right now. This is what you have been doing for most of your life. Not because you're broken, because no one ever showed you the line, much less how to cross it. The line is right above pride. Its name is courage. (200) Courage, the threshold. Courage is not bravery in the action movie sense. Courage is the smallest possible upgrade from pride, and the most important one a human being ever makes. The shift looks tiny. The consequences are total. At pride, you defend. At courage, you face. Watch the difference in real life. The person at pride says, "I have nothing to apologize for." The person at courage says, "I was wrong." The person at pride says, "I don't have a problem." The person at courage says, "I have a problem and I'm going to look at it." The person at pride says, I don't need help. The person at courage says, I need help and I'm asking. Notice what just happened. The person at courage gave up something. The defense, the image, the story. And the moment they gave it up, something opened. Energy stopped going out. Energy started coming in. This is the shape of every move you'll ever make above the line. You don't acquire courage, you release pride. You don't manufacture acceptance, you release resistance. Every level above 200 is reached by letting something go, not by adding something new. This is the part the entire self-help industry gets backwards. They keep telling you to acquire more discipline, more confidence, more habits. The map says the opposite. You climb by subtraction. Courage is the level where you stop running. Stop hiding. Stop blaming. The job you've been avoiding for 3 years. At courage, you apply. The conversation you've been dreading. At courage, you have. The truth about yourself you've been refusing to look at courage, you look. You don't need to feel brave. Bravery is a feeling. Courage is a decision to stop pretending. You can be terrified and operating at courage at the same time. You cannot be in denial and be at courage. They are mutually exclusive. Here's the test. In any moment of your life, ask, am I currently facing this thing, or am I currently performing not facing it? Performing not facing it is pride. Facing it, even badly, even with shaking hands, is courage. The shaking hands are not a problem. The shaking hands are a sign you crossed. The collective consciousness of mankind, according to Hawkins' mapping, sat at 190 for centuries, below the line, just barely. Then in the last few decades it crossed to 204. Globally, we are now narrowly above the line. As individuals, most of us are still below it most of the time. You don't have to live above 200 to use this. You have to know where the line is so you can recognize when you've crossed it and when you've fallen back. Crossing happens in moments, not phases. You will cross the line 1,000 times in your life. The goal isn't to live permanently above it. The goal is to spend more of your time on the side where life works. Above the line, the air changes. Let's see what happens up there. Above the line, 5 levels, and each one is the same person, becoming gradually more useful to themselves and to everyone around them. 250, neutrality. The first thing that happens above the line is that you stop having to win. At 250, you can say, if not this job, another one, and mean it. You can let the argument drop without surrendering anything important. The grip loosens. You discover a strange new feeling. Not getting your way is no longer a catastrophe. Neutrality is where most people first taste freedom. People at this level are easy to be around because they aren't constantly trying to control the room. They're not pushing for outcomes. They're not collapsing when outcomes don't go their way. They're just there, present, unattached, capable. This is the level of safety, both for them and for everyone they touch. Notice what was released to get here. The need to be right, the need to win. The need for things to go a specific way. Below 250, you held those needs in clenched fists. At 250, the fists open. $310, willingness. If neutrality is the door, willingness is the step through it. At neutrality, you stopped fighting. At willingness, you start participating, because now there's no resistance left to use as an excuse. Willing people are the ones who say yes. Yes to the boring task. Yes to the thing that needs doing that no one else will do. Yes to learning the new skill at 40 when their ego said it was too late. Willingness is where success starts to look automatic. Because while everyone else is negotiating with reality, the willing person is already doing the work. You can spot willingness instantly in someone. They are the easiest people to teach, train, and promote. They are also the ones who, 10 years later, end up running things. Not because they were the smartest in the room, but because they were the ones who showed up without drama. $350. Acceptance. This is the largest single jump on the map. At acceptance, the most expensive belief you have ever held finally cracks. The belief that the source of your problems is out there, other people, circumstances, the system, your parents, the economy. Below acceptance, life is something happening to you. At acceptance, you take ownership of your experience as the author of it, not in a shallow self-help way, in a structural way. The realization at 350 is, nothing out there has the power to make me happy or unhappy. That power was always inside. This is not the same as blaming yourself. It's the opposite. People who blame themselves are still in the pit, usually somewhere between guilt and shame. Acceptance doesn't say, I caused all my problems. Acceptance says, the meaning I assign to what happens is mine, and so is the response. Two completely different sentences. Once you cross into acceptance, you stop being a victim, and you stop needing villains. The story rewrites itself. Tough jobs stop feeling like punishment. Hard conversations stop feeling like attacks. Long-term goals replace short-term reactions. Self-discipline doesn't have to be forced. It shows up on its own because there's no internal war left to drain the energy. $400. Reason. This is the level of intellect, clean, sharp, instrumental. The Nobel laureates, the great surgeons, the engineers who put humans on other planets. At 400, the mind operates at full capacity. It can hold complexity, it can build systems, it can change the world. And here's the surprise the map delivers. Reason is not the top. It's a midpoint. Reason has a ceiling. The ceiling is that reason works with symbols and data, but cannot perceive the thing the symbols are about. A scientist at 400 can describe water in perfect molecular detail and never feel a single drop. A philosopher at 400 can argue about love for a lifetime and never love anyone. Reason is the most powerful tool human beings have built. It is also a prison if you mistake the tool for the territory. Most of the highly educated, professionally accomplished people you know are stuck at 400. They have everything reason can buy. They are also, if you ask them honestly, often vaguely empty. Reason explains the world. It does not let you participate in it. The way out of reason is not to abandon reason. It's to recognize that reason is a vehicle, not a destination, and to release the identification with being smart. $500. Love. When the grip on being right finally loosens, you arrive at love. And love at this level has nothing to do with the word as it's normally used. The love at 500 is not a feeling. It's not romance. It's not the rush of a new relationship. It's a way of being. It does not turn on and off based on what other people do. It does not fluctuate with mood or circumstance. It cannot be earned and cannot be lost. Only about 4 out of every 1,000 human beings ever reach this level. 4 in 1,000. Not because love is rare in the universe, but because the things you have to release to get here are the things almost everyone refuses to release. The story of being wronged, the score you've been keeping, the image of who you thought you were going to be. Those don't survive the trip to 500. So most people don't make the trip. People at 500 change the rooms they walk into without saying anything. They don't have to argue, because their presence is the argument. They don't have to convince, because they don't need anyone to agree. The energy that was leaking out of them through resentment, defense, control, and self-justification is now available for everything else they do. Look back across the climb. Neutrality, willingness, acceptance, reason, love. Notice the pattern. Each step required releasing something. The need to win, the need to resist, the need to blame, the need to be right. the need to be loved on conditional terms. This is the thing the pit cannot teach you, because the pit is built entirely on holding on. Above the line, life is a continuous practice in letting go. The further up you go, the less you carry. The less you carry, the more energy you have. The more energy you have, the less effort everything takes. You are not climbing up by adding floors to a building. You are climbing up by removing weights from a balloon. The balloon goes up on its own. Above 500, the air gets thin. 540. Joy. Not the joy of a good day, not the joy of getting what you wanted. The joy at this level is constant, and it is independent of what happens. People at this level can lose everything and remain exactly as they were the day before. This is the level of healers, teachers, the long, patient kind of people who carry others without ever drawing attention to it. They don't flinch, they don't take it personally. They have something inside them that the world cannot reach. If you've ever met one, a teacher, a nurse, a stranger at a gas station, you remember it. They were not impressive in the loud sense. They were just unmistakably whole. 540 looks like that. 600, peace. 1 in 10 million. That is how rare this state is in Hawkins's mapping. Peace is the level where the boundary between you and the world begins to dissolve. The person at peace does not see the world as something to interact with. They see it as something they are inside of, and that is inside of them. There is no friction left between subject and object. This sounds abstract. It is not abstract to the people who have touched it. Most of them, when they describe it in nearly the same way. Silence, slowness, an unbearable beauty in ordinary things. The light through a window, a bird outside, a child's voice in the next room. Peace is what the mystics described when they ran out of words. "700 to 1,000. Enlightenment. The peak. Less a level than a phase change in what a human being is. At this range, the personal self has dissolved. There is no longer a separate me running the system. What remains is awareness without a center. Hawkins reserved this range for the small handful of figures the entire human race has agreed to call great, across every culture, every century. The teachers from whom religions are made. You will not reach 1,000. Almost no one ever has. But understand what the top of the map is for. It is not a target, it is a horizon. The horizon's job is to tell you which way is up. You don't climb to it, you climb toward it. You spend your life moving in its direction. And the moving is the point, because every meter up the scale is a more useful, less effortful, less painful way to be alive. Most people will spend their lives oscillating between the high pit and the low climb. Pride to courage, anger to neutrality, fear to willingness. Up 2 levels, down 3, up 4. That oscillation, lived consciously, is most of what a good human life looks like. The work is not to live at 1,000. The work is to spend more of your time above the line than below it. That work is available to you, today, right now. But before the protocol, you need the master mechanic underneath the whole map. The thing that makes the whole map make sense. You've heard its name a dozen times already. Now we look at it directly. Force and power are not synonyms. They are opposites. They feel similar from the inside, especially when you're new to noticing the difference. They produce completely different results. Force is energy that has to be applied. It pushes, it controls, it coerces, it convinces, it dominates, it exhausts itself in the act of being used. Force always meets resistance. That is the definition of force in physics, and it is the definition of force in human life. The harder you push, the harder reality pushes back. Every act of force creates an equal and opposite reaction. This is not a metaphor. This is the operating principle of every state below the line. Power is the opposite. Power does not push. Power does not need to. Power is energy that aligns with what already wants to happen. It attracts, it allows, it permits, it includes. The person operating from power is not trying to make things happen. They are creating the conditions in which things happen on their own. Watch a great teacher in a room full of children. The teacher who uses force has to constantly demand attention. Louder voice, threats, punishments, raise stakes. The teacher who uses power doesn't have to demand anything. The room is already paying attention because the teacher's presence has organized it. Same job, two completely different operating systems. Watch a salesperson. The one using force pressures, manipulates, closes. The one using power explains the truth and lets the customer decide. One of them burns out in 3 years. The other one runs the company at 50. Watch yourself in an argument. The version of you that pushes is using force. Force is what makes you talk over the other person, repeat your point louder, refuse to consider being wrong. The version of you that listens, really listens, is using power. The listening is not weakness. The listening is the move that opens the room. Whoever is listening is in charge. Here's why this is operationally important. Force always loses eventually, because force costs to maintain. Every empire in human history has collapsed the moment it could no longer afford the cost of holding itself together. Every relationship built on force does the same thing on a smaller scale. Every habit you've tried to install through willpower fails the moment willpower runs out, because willpower is force, and force always runs out. Power costs nothing because power doesn't push against anything. Power gets stronger over time, not weaker. The person operating from power at 50 is more powerful than they were at 30, not less. The person operating from force at 50 is exhausted. Now overlay this onto the map. Every level below 200 is force. Shame is force against the self. Fear is force against the future. Anger is force against another person. Pride is force against the truth. Every level above 200 is power. Courage is the power to face. Acceptance is the power to author your own experience. Love is the power that needs nothing in return. The map and the master mechanic are the same thing. This is why the title of the video is what it is. Hard work backfires when hard work is force. Hard work that is force will exhaust you, alienate the people around you, and produce the opposite of what you wanted. The same work, performed from above the line, costs almost nothing and produces results that look, to the outside observer, like luck. The thing that looks like luck is power. The thing that feels like effort is force. Now you know which one you've been using. The protocol is simple. It has 4 steps. None of them require you to believe anything Hawkins claimed. You can think the kinesiology was nonsense and still use the map. Test it for 1 week and decide. Step 1. Locate. In any moment of your day, when you notice friction, a difficult email, a tense conversation, a project that won't move, pause for 10 seconds and ask one question. What is the dominant feeling driving me right now? Don't analyze, don't justify, just name it. Pride, fear, desire, anger, acceptance, willingness. Use the level names. They give you precision, the everyday vocabulary doesn't. I'm frustrated is too vague. I'm running anger because someone blocked what I wanted is operationally useful. The naming alone changes things. The moment you can name the level, you are already half a step above it because you became the observer instead of the prisoner. Step 2. Tell the truth about the level. Do not skip levels. This is where almost everyone messes up the protocol. The person stuck in apathy reads a self-help book and tries to leap to acceptance. It does not work. You cannot fake your way up the scale. If you are at fear, the next level up is desire. Not love, not peace, desire. Letting yourself want something is the upgrade from being afraid of everything. If you are at apathy, the next level up is grief. Letting yourself feel the loss is the upgrade. If you are at pride, the next level up is courage, one floor at a time. This is good news. You only ever need to find the next floor up, not the top. The map is a stairwell. Take the next step, then take another. Step 3. Climb by releasing, not adding. This is the move every level above the line shares. To go from pride to courage, release the defense. To go from neutrality to willingness, release the resistance. To go from acceptance to love, release the conditions. The pattern holds at every level. Find what you're holding on to, name it, let it go. The next level appears underneath you. In every case, the climb is a subtraction. Find the thing you are holding on to at the current level, the story, the grievance, the position, the image, and let go of it. The next level appears underneath you, automatically. This is the part that contradicts most of the advice you've ever been given. You have been told to acquire habits, mindsets, productivity systems, identities. The map says drop something instead. Drop the right thing and you don't have to climb. The level is just there. Step 4. Test by checking energy. After any decision, action, or interaction, ask one question. Did this just cost me energy or give me energy? Energy cost. You were operating from force. You used effort to produce the result. The result may even have been what you wanted, but you paid for it. The bill comes due later, in fatigue, in resentment, in burnout, in the next argument. Track this honestly for a week and you will see the bill in your own life. Energy return. You were operating from power. You did the thing, and you have more energy than when you started. This is the signature of being above the line. Things done from power are not draining, they are restoring. This is your diagnostic for the rest of your life. You will not always be able to feel which level you're at. You will always be able to feel whether the last hour cost you energy or returned it. Run this protocol for 7 days. You will discover very quickly that most of your default behaviors are force. Most of your relationships, the way you currently run them, are force. Most of your work, the way you currently approach it, is force. You will also discover, in a few moments, what power feels like. The conversation that didn't take effort. The decision that made itself. The work that finished itself while you were paying attention to something else. The first time you notice it, you will recognize it instantly. You have always known the difference. You just didn't have a name for it. Now you do. Now you can climb. You started this video in an argument you should have been winning. Pushing harder, losing ground, walking away with the strange feeling that you were the one who lost. You weren't losing because you were wrong. You were losing because you were using force in a situation where only power works. Now you have the map. You know where the line is. You know what's above it and what's below it. You know that every level above the line is reached by releasing, not by adding. You know how to test in any given hour, whether you spend it on force or on power. The protocol is small. Locate, tell the truth, release, check the energy, 4 moves, 7 days. Then decide for yourself whether the map is real. Most people will keep pushing. Most people always do. But you've now seen the line. You can no longer pretend you didn't see it. That seeing is the upgrade. Everything that happens from here is a choice you are making with the map open. Here is your question for the comments, and answer it honestly, not the way that sounds best. In the last 24 hours of your life, name one thing you tried to push through with force, and one thing you allowed to happen with power. Which one cost you more? Which one produced the better result? Read your own answer carefully. That answer is the map showing you exactly where you live.